By 22 years old, I had reached what some experts believe to be the most difficult net worth milestone to achieve, $100,000. Or, as the legend Charlie Munger puts it, the first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it. This is the first video in a 10-part series titled Millionaire Milestones, where each time my net worth hits another $100,000 threshold, I make a video summarizing the biggest takeaways and key lessons learned. Now, the goal here is not to show off, it's really to educate and inspire you to hit whatever financial milestones you are working towards. So starting off with the basics, your net worth is comprised of your assets minus your liabilities. Your assets are anything that produce income, such as stocks, bonds. It also includes equity in your house, any cash equivalents, and things of that nature. Your liabilities, on the other hand, is anything that's taking money away from you, such as a mortgage on your house, credit card debt, student loan debt, or any car payments that you might have as well. So now that we're squared away on what I mean by net worth, let's rewind all the way back to when my net worth was $0 when I was in high school. My net worth was pretty much $0 throughout high school, as I was involved with a lot of extracurriculars that restricted my ability to go to school and work at the same time. So what that meant is I was only able to work during the summers. I got my first summer job at 16 in the summer of 2016 when I was working as a bike rental clerk on the Santa Monica Pier. The story for another video, but that will go down as the worst job I've ever had. Things turned around in the summer of 2017, however, when I had one of the best jobs I've ever had. I pretty much just got paid to go on trips and hang out in front of the camera as a cast member of Summer Break. Now, lastly, in terms of high school summer jobs, in the summer of 2018, I was working as a camp counselor at a beach camp in Santa Monica. Now, although I was able to work the summers during high school, I was responsible for paying my own car insurance, which pretty much wiped my entire summer savings away throughout the year. So this brings me to lesson number 1 for this stage in your wealth building journey. Avoid large recurring expenses and invest everything you can immediately. So what I mean by this is, if possible, try to avoid large monthly expenses while you aren't working. And maybe that means only getting car insurance when you are working, in my instance, or working throughout the school year if you aren't involved in as many extracurriculars. And with those savings, invest everything you can immediately in a broad market index such as VTI or VOO, which track the total market index or the S&P 500 respectively. More on that in a future video. And this is so crucial due to the forces of compound interest. If you could save just $10,000 by the end of high school and invest that for 40 years until you retire at 60, that same $10,000 will be worth a cool $450,000. However, if you waited just 10 years and started investing that same $10,000 at 30, that would only be worth $175,000 when you retire at 60. Okay, so college is when things began to pick up. My first semester of college in 2018 was in New York when I had about $2,000 in cash and about $1,000 invested in mutual funds. I very quickly realized New York wasn't for me and decided to do the next semester at SMC, or Santa Monica College, here in LA. And because of my financial situation, I actually got paid the Pell Grant, which was about $6,000 a semester just to go to community college. Additionally, I was working at a restaurant as a server, making more than I ever had in tips. Okay, so the next piece of advice I have for you at this point in your wealth building journey is this. If you aren't yet at a point of professional internships, so call it high school throughout your first year of college, work at a restaurant. Find somewhere where you can start as a host at 16 and work your way up to be a server by 17 or 18. You can consistently make $200 a day plus hourly, which is, I think, $16 in Los Angeles right now, which is way more than any other low-skill job at that age. Now, I got accepted to USC for the spring semester of 2020, at which point I had saved around $20,000 just from working and going to SMC. Now, this is the point at which a lot of people's net worth starts to deteriorate due to the high cost of higher education. However, a few key decisions allowed me to stay on a positive trajectory. So similar to SMC, I was still receiving financial aid. I got about 50% of my aid covered for USC, which took the $50,000-ish tuition down to about $25,000 a year. To pay for this, I continued to work at my restaurant job. I lived at home for a large portion of college, and I rarely went out. I also enrolled in the payment plan, which I very highly recommend. It allows you to pay your tuition on a monthly basis throughout the year. So throughout the remainder of college, I had 3 professional internships in real estate and retained my restaurant job at the same time. And that was one of the biggest grinds I've ever gone through. I would work my 9 to 5 internship Monday through Friday and then work at the restaurant Fridays through Sundays. So what that meant is that I would get off my internship at 5, drive to the restaurant and change in the car, and then start my 6 to close shift. I don't know how I did that, and I honestly wouldn't recommend going that far. I think you could be just fine by just having the internship and enjoy the weekends as a college student in the summer. All right, so that brings us to the first time that my net worth crossed over the $100,000 threshold. My net worth first crossed over that threshold in January of 2022 when almost every market was oversaturated. In early 2021, I decided to bet big on NFTs. I bought the complete set of the first ever Disney NFTs, the Golden Moments, for over $18,000. So after I bought the set, they absolutely skyrocketed and I hit $100,000 at 22 years old. My net worth hit that threshold when the Golden Moments were worth about $53,000, which meant I had $43,000 invested in stocks, another $2,000 in crypto, and the last $2,000 I held in cash. At its peak in 2022, my NFT portfolio alone was worth over $90,000. But as you might have guessed, that did not last very long. Right now, you could buy the entire Golden Moment set for under $4,000. And I didn't sell, I still have my set. Maybe one day I will be glad I held, but not today. All right, so with that aside, let's talk about the second and last time that my net worth would cross the $100,000 threshold. But first we have to talk about when markets were crashing in the first half of 2022. My net worth hit a new low of $60,000 just about the time I was graduating in May of 2022. Luckily, however, I had just landed a job in real estate private equity that paid $75,000 a year. Okay, so the last and certainly most important lesson in this entire video is to pay yourself first, which is also known as reverse budgeting. So this practice means tucking away anything you can in a high interest savings account, investment account, retirement account, whatever it is, as soon as you're paid. This is contrary to investing everything you can at the end of the month, whatever you have left over, which is just traditional budgeting. So what this does is it forces you to hit your savings goal and you won't get used to a lifestyle that you can't afford, which is known as lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep, something that you should certainly stay away from. So finally, that brings us to today. So I'm gonna end each Millionaire Milestone by breaking down my net worth as it stands in detail. And if you appreciate that kind of transparency, give this video a like and make sure to hit that subscribe button. With that said, I turned 24 last month and hit a mini net worth milestone of $150,000. So let's break that down. Okay, so before we get started, the app that I'm using to track my net worth is Wealthfront. They have a high interest savings account that right now is offering 5%, as well as an AI managed investment account if you prefer to let somebody else do your investing for you. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description if you want to get 50 basis points on top of the preferred rate or your first $5,000 managed for free in the cash account or investment account respectively. Okay, $158,732 is my net worth as of today. So let's break that down. So the first and biggest account that I have is that high interest savings account that I was talking about with Wealthfront, which right now has just over $73,000. If we click here, we can see each month I'm making about $300-ish in interest, projected to make just under $4,000 by the end of the year in interest as well. The next thing here I have under cash is just my checkings account. I only have a little bit of money in here, just stuff that I need for everyday expenses, and that is truly it. This is another high interest savings account. I will, swap between the two if there's a higher preferred rate here, but ever since I started using Wealthfront, Ally Bank has been lower in terms of rate. Now we're on to my investments. So the first account I have is the individual investment account. This is that AI managed investment account that Wealthfront runs, but right now I have just over $13,000 in that account. I also have Robinhood, where just because I like to do some trading myself, so just over $47,000 here. We can see some of my biggest positions here, mostly index funds like I was talking about earlier, and Microsoft has just been crushing it. So now this is one of my biggest positions. I'm up 80%, which is kind of gnarly. So, time is on your side with all of this. The next thing I have to show you is my 401k. I 4% match with my employer. That's the only thing that I'm doing. I'm doing the 4%. We'll touch on that more in a future video. I also have a Roth IRA, which is another type of investment, retirement account rather, which again, I'll get into the benefits of either or in a future video. Now, this personal investment account from E-Trade, this is the first ever investment that I ever made. When I was talking about the mutual funds that I had earlier in my life, this is what it is. I put $500 with my dad in 2014. It was like $250 each, and now that's over 1.2K. So that's pretty cool to see. So now we get into my crypto and my NFTs. So unfortunately, we can go check VV right now. That's what the Disney Golden Moments are held on. Again, I spent over $18,000 on these right now. 3.7. So not fantastic, but again, maybe one day. So that leads us to the only other thing is crypto. So let's see if Coinbase will load for us. Yeah, so about $1,600 in crypto. Pretty sure this is like all Bitcoin, maybe a tiny bit of Ethereum. Yeah, so $1,200 in Bitcoin, $400 in Ethereum. I probably put around $1,000 total in that. Not crazy. And then we have my liabilities, which is just this one credit card. I have more credit cards, but I always pay them off, so I don't feel a need to have them in my liabilities. And that is pretty much it. So yeah. Let me know if you have any questions at all by commenting down below, and I'll be sure to answer anything that you might be curious about. Additionally, I would love to hear about your wealth building journey, so please give me an update on where you're at or the milestones that you're trying to achieve down in the comments as well. In other news, the house is done, so I'm getting that listing ready, and I'm excited to have that be my next video, which I will post in about a month's time. All right, I'll see you next month. Peace.